Once upon a time, in the village of Agbede, there lived a young man named Tunde, known for his bravery and desire for adventure. The village sat near a dense forest, which the elders warned against entering. They spoke of spirits and strange happenings within, but Tunde never feared the unknown. He had always longed to explore beyond the boundaries of the village, though the villagers found him peculiar for wanting more than a simple life. Tunde's family was humble but happy. His mother, Olabisi, often worried about her son's dreams of venturing into the forest. "Why can't you be satisfied with life here in the village, like everyone else?" she would ask. But Tunde's heart yearned for something greater, something beyond the life of a fisherman that most of the villagers accepted. One evening, as Tunde walked near the edge of the forest, he heard a faint voice calling out. His curiosity piqued. He ventured closer and found an old woman lying by a stream. She was weak and in need of help, her clothes torn and her hands trembling. "Please, kind soul, help me," the woman whispered. Without hesitation, Tunde helped her up and carried her back to the village. The woman was grateful and blessed Tunde for his kindness. "You have done a good deed, my boy," she said. "Remember, kindness is always rewarded when you least expect it." Though Tunde did not understand the full meaning of her words, he thanked her and returned home, unaware of the mysterious events that would soon unfold in his life. Days passed, and life in Agbede continued as usual. The villagers, busy with their farming and fishing, paid no mind to Tunde's adventure with the old woman. However, strange things began to happen. The river that flowed through the village began to dry up, and crops that had once thrived started withering under the sun. Whispers spread through the village, and the people grew worried. The village elder Baba Ade, who was known for his wisdom, warned that something unnatural was at play. "The spirits of the forest are restless," he said. Tunde, with his adventurous spirit, could not sit still. He decided to investigate the strange occurrences, convinced that the answers lay deep within the forest. Tunde gathered his belongings and told his mother of his plan to enter the forest. "Don't go, Tunde," his mother begged, her eyes filled with fear. "The forest is dangerous. There are things in there beyond our understanding." But Tunde's mind was made up. He felt a deep calling, one he could no longer ignore. As he ventured into the forest, the trees loomed tall and thick, blocking out much of the sunlight. The air was cool and filled with the scent of moss and earth. Tunde moved cautiously, but with determination. He had no idea what lay ahead, but he was ready to face whatever challenge awaited him. After hours of walking through the dense forest, Tunde stumbled upon an ancient tree, much larger than any tree he had ever seen. At the base of the tree sat a small pot, covered in shimmering gold dust. As Tunde reached out to touch the pot, a voice echoed from above. "Do not touch what is not yours." Tunde looked up and saw a massive owl perched on a branch. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. "Who are you?" Tunde asked, trying to hide the tremble in his voice. The owl spread its wings wide and spoke again. "I am the guardian of this forest. The pot you see holds great power, but it also carries a terrible curse. Only the pure-hearted may claim it." The owl's warning made Tunde pause, but he could not ignore the shimmering pot before him. He remembered the words of the old woman he'd helped. Kindness is always rewarded. Could this be his reward? Still, something about the owl's presence unnerved him. "I do not seek power," Tunde said, standing tall. I seek only to lift the curse that has fallen upon my village." The owl blinked slowly and then nodded. "Very well, Tunde. I will give you a task. If you succeed, the curse will be lifted and your village will be saved. But if you fail, the curse will grow stronger and darkness will consume Agbede." The weight of the owl's words filled Tunde with both determination and fear. He knew this would be no ordinary quest. The owl instructed Tunde to travel to 3 sacred sites deep within the forest. At each site, he would face a test that would challenge his courage, wisdom, and kindness. Only by passing all 3 tests could the curse be broken. Tunde, despite his fear, accepted the challenge without hesitation. "I will save my village," he vowed. As he set off on his journey, the forest grew darker, and the trees seemed to close in around him. Tunde had always believed himself to be brave, but the uncertainty of what lay ahead made his heart race. He could only hope that he would find the strength to face whatever challenges awaited him. The first sacred site was a cave hidden behind a powerful waterfall. The sound of rushing water roared in Tunde's ears as he climbed over slippery rocks to reach the entrance. Inside, the air was cold and damp, and the cave was bathed in shadows. In the center of the cave, a massive lion with eyes that glowed like fire stood guard. The lion let out a low growl, its voice echoing through the cave. "To pass this test, you must show true courage," the lion said. "Face me without fear, or turn back now." Tunde's heart pounded in his chest, but he stepped forward, meeting the lion's fierce gaze. "I will not turn back," he said, though his legs trembled. "I face you with courage for the sake of my village." For a long moment the lion stared into Tunde's eyes, as though testing the depth of his resolve. Then, to Tunde's surprise, the lion lowered its head in a bow. "You have passed the test of courage," the lion said. "Go forth and prove your worthiness in the next trial." Relief flooded Tunde's body, but he knew that the most difficult challenges still lay ahead. As he left the cave, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The villagers of Agbede were counting on him, and he could not afford to fail. He made his way toward the second sacred site, ready for whatever awaited him. The second site was located atop a steep mountain, its peak shrouded in mist. As Tunde climbed higher and higher, the air grew thinner, and his legs began to ache from the strain. But he pressed on, knowing that his village's fate rested on his success. About halfway up the mountain, Tunde came across an old man sitting by the path. The man looked tired and lost. "Help me, young man," the old man said. "I've lost my way and cannot find the path to the top of the mountain. If you help me, I will reward you." Tunde recognized this as the test of wisdom. Instead of guiding the old man blindly, Tunde listened carefully to the man's story and realized that the path the old man sought was not physical, but spiritual. "You do not need me to guide you," Tunde said gently. "The path you seek is within yourself." The old man smiled and nodded, his eyes twinkling with understanding. "You have passed the test of wisdom," he said, before disappearing into the mist. Tunde stood still for a moment, marveling at how the solution had come from within himself. His journey was as much about discovering his own inner strength as it was about breaking the curse. With 2 tests behind him, Tunde continued his ascent up the mountain. His body ached, and his mind was weary, but he pushed forward, knowing that only one challenge remained. The final test was near, and Tunde braced himself for whatever lay ahead. At the base of the mountain, Tunde reached the third sacred site, a wide river, its waters dark and swirling. On the opposite bank, a group of children stood crying, stranded without a way to cross. Their boat had drifted away, leaving them trapped. Tunde's heart ached for them, but he knew this was the test of kindness. Without hesitation, Tunde set to work building a small raft from the nearby reeds and branches. One by one, he ferried the children across the river, despite the swift currents and the danger of being swept away. The children, grateful for his help, smiled and thanked him as they reached the other side safely. As the last child reached the shore, the owl appeared once more. "You have shown great courage, wisdom, and kindness," the owl said, its eyes gleaming with approval. "The curse is lifted. Return to your village, Tunde, and know that you have saved your people." Tunde's heart soared with relief and joy. The journey had tested him in ways he could not have imagined, but he had emerged stronger and wiser. As he made his way back through the forest, the trees seemed less ominous, and the path ahead felt clear. He knew that the village of Agbede would be waiting for his return. When Tunde arrived back in Agbede, the curse had already begun to lift. The once withering crops were now flourishing, and the river, which had dried up, flowed clear and strong once again. The villagers, who had once doubted Tunde, now greeted him with cheers and gratitude. "You saved us!" they cried. Tunde, though tired from his journey, smiled humbly. "It was not me alone," he said. "I had help from the forest and from the spirits who protect it. But most of all, I learned that true strength comes from within." The villagers marveled at Tunde's story and realized that their respect for him had been long overdue. As life in Agbede returned to normal, Tunde became a respected figure in the village. The elders, who had once dismissed his dreams of adventure, now sought his counsel on matters of great importance. Even Baba Ade, the village elder, admitted that he had been wrong about the young man's restless spirit. "Sometimes it takes a brave heart to lead us where we fear to go," he said with a smile. Tunde, though grateful for the recognition, remained humble. He knew that his journey was far from over. The lessons he had learned in the forest would stay with him for the rest of his life, reminding him that bravery, wisdom, and kindness were the true marks of a hero. One evening, as Tunde sat by the river bank reflecting on his journey, the old woman he had helped appeared before him once again. She smiled warmly, her eyes filled with pride. "I told you, Tunde," she said, "kindness is always rewarded." Tunde nodded, understanding now the full meaning of her words. His kindness had not only saved her, but it had also set him on a path to save his entire village. As the sun set over the peaceful village of Agbede, Tunde knew that his story would be passed down for generations to come, a tale of bravery, wisdom, kindness, and the true strength of the human spirit. Thank you for tuning in to Tales Motherland again. We sincerely appreciate your viewership and likes and comments. Please be sure to hit the subscribe and like button and stay connected to us for new intriguing African stories and folktale. Once again, thanks for watching.